everybody, in this video we're going to do another example using factoring by grouping. Okay, so again, really quickly, write in standard form. This one is factor out the greatest common factor between 2, 9, and 4. I can't divide out any numbers, so I also do not have a greatest common factor. Now we get into the regular grouping process. Okay, so step 1 is always to do our rainbow, multiply first times last. So 2 times 4 gives me an 8 on top, and then the middle term goes on bottom. Make sure that it is a -9. Anytime they have a sign, make sure you put it there. Okay, so we're trying to find two numbers that multiply to 8 and add to -9. So I'm going to start with my factors of 8. Start with the easy one. 1 times 8, and then 2 times 4. In this case, I want you guys to be careful. Okay, so on the bottom, notice we have a negative number. I don't have any negatives on the top there, so I'm like, what the heck? Well, in order to multiply to 8, technically, 2 negatives also multiply to give me a positive. So I'm going to also try some negatives. So I could do -1 times -8 and -2 times -4. So now I'm like, okay, this makes a little bit more sense. So 1 plus 8 gives me a +9, can't use those. 2 plus 4 is 6. -1 plus a -8 gives me a -9. And just to check, -2 plus a -4 does not give me -9. So I'm going to pause you guys really quick. If you guys will jump to the bottom of your notes, I want to show you guys this before we go back to finish. When you have a negative number on the top of your T-chart, your only option is one negative number and one positive number. So that makes it kind of easy. If, like we have here, there is a positive number on top, you can multiply 2 positives to give you a positive, or like in our example right now, 2 negatives can multiply to also give you a positive. So just be careful when you guys are doing this that you pay really close attention to your signs. Okay, sorry, flip all the way back. Now we're gonna start solving this trinomial. So we did our T-chart. We found our two numbers. Now we are going to break up that middle term. So -9x, I am going to break up into -1x. And then here we have a -8. So instead of plus, I'm going to put -8x. Be so careful right here, because this is the number one mistake I see, is forgetting our positives or negatives. Okay, then I'm going to bring down the first term, 2x squared, bring down the last term, +4. Okay, now we're going to do our grouping process. So I'm going to group the first two. And when I do grouping, please make sure to group the negative on the inside of parentheses. Put a big star, highlight it, I don't know, do what you do. Make sure it is inside the parentheses. What we do not want is this. Don't do that. We want to put it inside the parentheses. All right, we've grouped, and now we're going to do our greatest common factor. So looking just at the first parenthesis, what can I divide out of 2x squared and -1x? Well, they both have an x, and 2 and 1, I technically could take out a 1. If you want to write 1x, that's cool. I don't want to write 1x. So I'm going to go on to the next one, -8x and +4. Okay, if this guy is a negative, you have to take out a negative. So I'm going to automatically put a negative. Between 8x and 4, the biggest number I can divide out is 4. So I'm going to divide out a -4 and a -4 from both of these. Okay. Now I'm going to do the next step. I'm going to divide and put them in its correct parentheses. So the first one, I took out an x. 2x squared divided by x gives me a 2x. -1x divided by x just leaves me with a -1. When you have a 1, please make sure to write it. So this is a -1, make sure you don't leave that blank. Okay, next we are taking out a -4, so I'm going to put that on the outside. -8x divided by -4, 2 negatives make a positive, so that is a positive 2x. And then 4 divided by -4 leaves me with a -1. Okay, here's the exciting part. Both of my parentheses are exactly the same, so I know I did it correctly. If at this point you maybe forgot that negative, these guys would be negative and you would know something's wrong, go back and check your work. So that's kind of a nice trick. All right, but they are the same because we did it correctly. So I'm going to take these, cross them out, and write it once, 2x minus 1. Our leftovers, the x and the minus 4, are in my second parenthesis, and I am done. Ta-da! Again, you can multiply these out together to check your answer. Make sure that it checks with this, but you are done after that. All right, again, please make sure you take your time. Please make sure you are being very, very careful on your positives and negatives. And one more time, I'm going to remind you, if this guy is negative, you need to take out a negative here, okay? All right, if you guys have questions, come find me. If not, I will see y'all in the next one.